Howdy. It's Lonnie Ray Williams. I'm the chairman of the Independent American Party. I had to do a little bit of a prayer before doing this Memorial Day message because I wanted to do it right before I started recording here, and I asked my brothers in arms who didn't make it home, what would they have me say? And I've had a bugger of a time since having that prayer. The wind's been kicking up, and I think they'd be pretty darn angry with the state of our nation. And rather than rant about that, I think we all have our own to say about that, which we'll address in due time. I wanted to be respectful to those brothers in arms who are in the grave. My first duty assignment in the military was in the Presidential Honor Guard, otherwise known as the Old Guard, the 1st of the 3rd Infantry Regiment, stationed in Fort Myer, Virginia. I had to give up my airborne contract and a few other things when I was approached by the recruiters for the Old Guard. And I didn't know what I would gain, though. I was looking forward to going in the same unit that my father served in Vietnam, in the 82nd Airborne, and I was pretty stoked about that. But I didn't know what an honor it was to serve in the Old Guard. And there's a few experiences, many I'll just carry for myself, but there's a few I think I'd like to share. And many soldiers who have served from time at Arlington National Cemetery will tell you of some of the experiences, depending on the commanders, of course, what you were allowed to do and what you weren't allowed to do in the cemetery. But on some occasions, some commanders would let you run through the boneyard for PT, and some commanders did it in full formation, albeit at a silent cadence, respectful of the dead around us. Now, I can tell you there are a few experiences in my life that are absolutely humbling and are awe-inspiring, and collectively make a piece of me somewhere in my soul. And those moments were it when you had hundreds of men running together silently in cadence. First thing in the morning at the crack of dawn, as the mist and the graves groaned and spoke. Other moments, when a moment we called flags in, it's where you stick the flags in for Memorial Day, other special occasions. Whole regiments out there sticking these flags in the ground, one boot length off of the headstone. Your foot touches each headstone as you're measuring it out. You glance at their names, their ranks. You get to know them. Occasionally you run across some famous people, or at least in military lore, who you sing cadence about. You learn to identify who died in battle based on the date, or at least speculatively they died during wartime. You get to know these soldiers. It's a deeply personal moment that I felt that we needed to share, because these guys gave everything in a lot of cases. And in some cases, we don't even know their name. If you haven't ever been to Arlington National Cemetery and visit the Tomb of the Unknown Soldier, if you ever have the occasion while the world's still holding together, I recommend you go and pay your respects to those who gave everything for the moments in life that you have. That's what Memorial Day is about. It's supposed to be. Now, I know for others, it's bikinis and beer and boats. Um, Nothing wrong with that. Liberty and freedom is what I stood up for, and imagine my brothers and sisters in arms did the same thing. But if you could reflect on them, think about them. Another thing that I used to do, I'm not able to do it obviously today. Live a lot farther away and have a lot more going on in my life than I ever imagined. But I used to go to national cemeteries on Memorial Day. I'd buy a couple dozen roses and other flowers, and I'd just walk the rows, whatever national cemetery was closest at the time. And I didn't put the flags in anymore. I didn't pull them out. But I'd go to the lonely graves that I felt calling to me, and I'd pull out a flower and put it on the graves. On occasion, I think I took a few of my family decades ago. My older children, I believe, have experienced at least this once or twice, at least one or two. I don't reflect on it too much, but I figured I'd want to share that because these soldiers, get to know them. It helps you look at this country and what's worth fighting for and what's worth standing for at a different perspective. And maybe, just maybe, you're going to ask yourself the question that you should be asking. What are you prepared to do for your country? What are you prepared to do for the liberty and freedom of your fellow human beings? If you're aware enough to understand that government is large parts of many agencies and people in government have declared war upon its own citizens. If you're one of the people who are aware of that, then maybe it's time that you start standing up for this country, going to your town hall meetings, speaking your voice, practicing your First Amendment rights. That includes all of them. Assembling, getting together with like-minded people. If you're not happy with where this nation is, don't let my brothers and sisters in arms die for nothing. Do your part. You don't have to pick up a rifle. You can pick up a pen. You can go protest. You can go testify in front of the state legislature against all the crappy bills they do, and every single one of them is. You can educate people about the Constitution. You can read about our founding fathers, their diaries, get to know them, understand what they stood for, and it'll start coming together for you. Check out of the propaganda that your mind has been checked into for a long time. It's time for you to think for yourselves. These brave men and women who gave everything, they expect you to think for yourself. Now, for those members of the Independent American Party, I've attached a message to this, or this will be going out with an email to those members. And I encourage you to get involved. Now's the time. We're not going to take it anymore. And it's time for you, if you're sick and tired of being sick and tired, to join us. More on that later. Today's all about the veterans. So, thank you everybody for your love and support for the party. We appreciate it. We greatly appreciate it. Stay tuned, we have a fantastic brand new website that's just days away from completion. And we're really excited with a lot of the new things that are coming out. And thank you. Keep reaching out. I'm getting back to each and every one of you as soon as I can get it scheduled and on my calendar. I do try and make a point to reach out to new members. And I guess that's about it. Happy Memorial Day, everybody. Please remember what's important. Thank you very much for your support for me, my family, our country, the Independent American Party. and everything as we struggle to grapple with the reality of our elected leaders not really giving a darn about us and representing us anymore. But that's for another video. God bless you all, and thank you for each and every one of you who served. Wartime, peacetime, it doesn't matter. It all changes you and changes the way you think. And it's hard to acclimate back into the real world. And I appreciate your service. And I wholeheartedly thank you for your service. And for those who thank me for mine, you're welcome. I'm not done serving. God bless those who stand for liberty and freedom. Join me.